What would you do if everyone told you to leave the person you loved, but your heart told you to stay? I wish I had listened to my heart sooner, because the man I almost left became the person who taught me what true love really means. My name is Anna, and this is my story. I met David when I was 24. He wasn't rich. He didn't have an expensive car. He didn't wear expensive clothes. He worked at a small restaurant near my office. The first time I saw him, he was carrying 3 cups of coffee. He almost dropped them when someone pushed him. One cup fell on my dress. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," he said. I looked at my dress. Then he looked at his frightened face, and I started laughing. "It's okay." He looked surprised. "You are not angry?" "No, but you owe me a coffee." He smiled. "Then I will give you two." That was how our story began. David was different from the man I had known before. He wasn't interested in showing off. He didn't talk about money. He didn't make big promises. Instead, he noticed small things. When I was tired, he brought me coffee. When I was sick, he called to ask how I felt. When I had a difficult day at work, he listened without interrupting. After a few months, I realized something. I wasn't just falling in love with him. I was feeling safe with him. And that feeling was more valuable than anything money could buy. But my family didn't feel the same way. My mother asked me one evening, "Anna, what does David do?" "He works at a restaurant." She became silent. Then she asked, "Does he have a house?" "No." "A car?" "No." "Then what does he have?" I smiled. "Me." My mother didn't smile. She simply said, "Love is not enough." I didn't agree, at least not then. David and I got married 1 year later. Our wedding was simple. There were no expensive decorations, no huge party, just our families and a few close friends. That night, David held my hand and said, "I may not be able to give you everything today." He looked into my eyes. "But I promise I will spend my whole life trying." I smiled. "I don't need everything. I just wanted him." For the first year, we were happy. We lived in a small apartment. We cooked together. Sometimes we ate cheap food and laughed about it. Sometimes we had no money left at the end of the month. But we were together. And I thought that was enough. Then something changed. David lost his job. The restaurant closed. He started looking for work everywhere. 1 week passed, then two, then a month, nothing. Bills started growing. My mother called me. "I told you, Anna." I didn't answer. She continued, "You made a mistake." I looked at David. He was sitting alone at the kitchen table, looking at job advertisement. I could see the disappointment in his eyes, and for the first time I wondered if my mother was right. If the person you loved suddenly had nothing to give you except love, patience, and hope, would you stay? Or would you leave before life became even harder? I didn't know the answer, and that scared me. One evening, David came home late. He looked exhausted. I asked, "Where were you?" "I had an interview." "How did it go?" He looked down. "They didn't hire me." I didn't know what to say. Then he said, "Anna, I'm sorry." "For what?" "For not being able to give you the life you deserve." I walked toward him. "You don't have to apologize." He smiled sadly. "I do." Then he went to bed. I stayed in the kitchen alone, and I cried. Not because I hated my life, because I was afraid. Afraid that love wasn't going to be enough. A week later, my mother offered me a way out. She knew a successful businessman named Michael. He was wealthy. He owned several companies. He was divorced. And he wanted to marry me. My mother said, "You won't have to worry about money anymore." I didn't answer. She continued, You can have a beautiful house, a comfortable life. No more unpaid bills. I looked at her. And love? She sighed. Love can come later. That sentence stayed in my mind. That night I went home. David was asleep. On the table beside him was a small envelope. I opened it. Inside was a necklace. It wasn't expensive, but it was beautiful. There was a small note with it. It said, I couldn't afford the necklace you wanted, so I bought this one. One day I will buy you the expensive one. But until then, please remember that every day with you is priceless to me. I started crying. David woke up. What happened? I held the necklace. Why did you buy this? He smiled. Because you liked it. But you don't have money. I know. Then why? He looked at me. Because seeing you happy still owed something to me. And suddenly I understood. My mother had been asking me what David owned, but she had never asked what kind of man he was. The next morning I went to my mother's house. She was waiting for my answer. So I smiled. I said no. She looked shocked. Are you serious? Yes. You are choosing a poor man over a wealthy future? I looked at her. No. She became silent. I'm choosing the man who stayed when my life wasn't beautiful. Years passed. David didn't give up. He learned new skills. He worked small jobs. He studied at night. And eventually he started his own little business. It wasn't successful immediately. There were many failures. But he kept going. I supported him. And slowly things changed. The small business became a company. The company grew. And one day David came home holding an envelope. What is this? I asked. He smiled. Open it. Inside was the document for our new house. I stared at him. You bought a house? He laughed. We bought a house. I hugged him. And he whispered, do you remember what I told you on our wedding night? I smiled. That you'd spend your whole life trying. He nodded. I told you I would. But the best part wasn't the house. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the successful business. It wasn't the successful business. It was what happened afterward. One evening my mother visited us. She looked around our beautiful home. Then she looked at David. She was quiet for a moment. Finally she said, I was wrong. David smiled. You don't have to say that. She looked at me. I thought money would make my daughter happy. Then she looked at David. But you did. David took her hand. I just love her. My mother smiled. And that's exactly what I failed to understand. Today David and I still live together. We still argue sometimes. We still have bad days. Our life isn't perfect, but when I look at him, I remember the small restaurant, the coffee on my dress, the tiny apartment, the unpaid bills, the necklace he couldn't afford, and the man who refused to give up. Sometimes I wonder, what if I had left him? What if I had chosen money? What if I had believed everyone who told me that he wasn't good enough? I might have had a bigger house, a more comfortable life, but I would have lost the man who made that house feel like home. I learned something important. Money can make your life comfortable, but it can't make you feel loved. A beautiful house can hold your hand when you are afraid. An expensive car can't sit beside you when you are sick. And a rich person can't automatically give you a happy marriage. Of course, money matters. Life needs money, but when you choose a life partner, don't only look at what they have today, look at who they are. Look at how they treat you when life becomes difficult. Because anyone can love you when everything is easy. But the person who stays when everything falls apart, that person is worth holding on to. Now tell me honestly, If you were Anna and you had two choices, a wealthy man who could give you everything money can buy, or a man who had very little but truly loved you and never gave up on you, who would you choose? And do you believe that love can survive when money is missing? Tell me your answer in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel Samiha Storyland.